Hey, welcome to the Backyard Blitz. I'm back. Everybody. I'm back from Dallas. I made it. They didn't try to kill me with these Niner colors on. You know that I had them there. I was always representing. Drew, thanks for holding down the fort last week. We got Coach Drew Daly in the upper right. We got Coach Rick down right below me. No Prophet tonight. He's a little bit under the weather, but you want to know what? I'm back, baby. We're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm back. You're back. Now I'm a little under the weather, so get well soon, Prophet. We need you back. I feel a little outnumbered here over the last couple of weeks.
Yes, sir. OG, got to get you back.
Welcome back, BP. I did what I could last week, trying to hold the fort down with you being gone. It's actually funny because it was actually the top rated show of all time that we did together. So I don't know if the Nielsen ratings were off, or maybe the people just want what they want. But with over 75 million views on last week's episode,
hey, Drew,
it is what it is. There might be a couple sponsorships coming out of it. I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know.
I meant to tell you, I know, like, we just talked about the numbers and all that stuff, but what really happened with the analytics, I was looking at the minutes, and oh my gosh, like when my shirt was buttoned wide open, boy, it just peaked. It went straight up. Also, we got a couple of sponsorships for I can't even say it with a straight face. Bosley's Hair for Men. Okay. So we got a couple of things maybe coming down the line because of my receding hairline. You showed yours, so it might double up, but hey, who cares how it happens, right? Right?
No, it's good. It's good. It's good to have you back there, BP. Glad you made it back safe from Dallas, even though you were in Arizona. We all know you were. So
I don't know, man. I would have had to gone to Buffalo because apparently Von Miller's trying to get DeAndre Hopkins over there. He was teasing something today on the Pat McAfee show. But that brings us up to what's happening. So our new segment where we're talking about what's happening, not just in the football world, but in the sports world in general. Playoffs. I feel like I should have that ready to go. But playoffs, we got the NBA playoffs and we got the NHL playoffs that started over the last couple of days. So, fellas, what stood out to you?
Listen, I can't even sit there. Prophet was the one who brought this topic up. I can't even sit there and say that I was studying the NHL playoffs too much. I didn't know that hockey was still around, to be honest with you. But I will.
Wow.
I did watch some NBA playoff action this past weekend with the hometown 76ers in action. Haven't watched a whole lot of them this year, but once the playoffs are all around, it's always gets a little bit more interesting. So Sixers are doing well. They're up 2-0 against the Nets. Dude, I think they got the talent to possibly make a run here finally, but I think in typical Philadelphia fashion, they'll find a way to choke it away somehow. But on paper, man, these guys should be able to at least get to the finals, and we'll see what happens, man. It's been an exciting year to be a Philly sports fan if you're into that sort of thing. I'm not, but I know a lot of people are.
I mean, you keep saying you're not, but we listen. Rick,
we know that's BS.
We know.
Man. All right, listen. Phillies baseball. I
know you love Phillies baseball.
I'm a diehard Phillies fan. Sixers I'll deal with, and the Flyers. Like I said, I haven't watched hockey since the old floater pitch by Snuffy McGee. So I'm, I just, and the Eagles, I'm not an Eagles fan, straight up. Like, I'm not an Eagles fan. So
I knew I liked you. That's okay.
You're worse, but I'll say
I'm not worse. Hey, I'm logical about this stuff. Hey, I've seen those videos of those Eagles fans, man. That bar for being worse is pretty down. I won't say high. It's low. It's pretty low, and I don't know if I can go down that way. Slick, man, what stood out to you? We got NBA playoffs, we got NHL playoffs, a bunch of different stuff going on. XFL still going on. USFL kicked off. What stood out to you over the weekend, over the week in the sports world?
I'm kind of like Drew. I've been so busy. I haven't even been keeping up with NHL, NBA. As far as the XFL games, been pretty good. I did glance at the opening USFL game between Birmingham and I want to say, was it Memphis? I think I glanced at that a little bit.
How'd that go?
I want to say I think Birmingham ended up winning.
Like I said, like a good product.
Yeah, I would say that it looked like it. Last year it wasn't a bad product, but I will say that it looked like it may have went up maybe like a half a notch from last year. So to see that league and just everything that they're trying to do progressing, that's a plus.
I'm just curious as to like, all right, the XFL. Excuse me, like it made sense. Like it debuts right after, right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
in February. USFL debuting now. Like XFL is kind of winding down their season. They have to be, right? They only played an 8-week schedule, I think.
I think that they were probably getting close to the playoffs.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, so they make sense, but I'm not sure the logic behind the USFL.
Yeah, me neither.
Timing now, because okay, the XFL comes on right after football season, and there's nothing, dude. There's nothing going on, so they got a little bit of a market there where they can be like, okay, there's nothing else to watch, so people will watch the XFL. USFL now, you got the baseball, you got baseball in full swing, no pun intended. You got you got NBA playoffs, you got the NHL playoffs. There's a lot going on in the sports world for this league to be kicking off, especially in inaugural. Well, I guess it's the second season now, but
yeah,
I don't know if I understand the timing of it, but I'll have to check it out. I was all in on. Well, I was like halfway in on the XFL when it first started. I haven't watched an XFL game unless I'm sitting like at a bar or something and it's on in the background. Like I haven't watched an XFL game since the second or third week. And I don't plan on watching a USFL game, so I don't know, man.
I started getting into the XFL a little bit. It looked like they were getting a lot more coverage, but then I was like, when is the USFL coming on, right? Well, they got a lot of different problems. First of all, Larry mentions it in the comments here. USFL looked terrible, almost no one in the seats. That's a problem, right? Like you can't pay players if you don't have fans coming to the game.
Yeah.
The other thing is, what we just mentioned at the top of the show, what's going on in the sports world? They're contending really with the XFL now, but most importantly, NHL, NBA playoff time. The Masters were on. What was that, over the weekend or 2 weeks ago? So it's just a horrible timing by them. Whoever thought, hey, this is when we should start the season. So I don't know. I also think the later it goes, the worse it is for those players that are trying to make NFL rosters.
Right. Because isn't that the whole point?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
It is. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they started like in April last year too. Now, last year it wasn't the XFL, but they started around the same time. And when their season was over with, they did have a good number of guys that got picked up by some NFL squads. Really? Yeah.
Wow. I'm just like, and not for like, even in the football world, like you got the draft coming up. People are excited about football in that regard. You'll go into OTAs soon. I just think there's a lot more.
Some teams are kind of doing some like not mandatory mini camps, but they're starting to do like organized team activities. I guess that's OTAs. That's what it stands for. But
so you learn something new every day.
Every day. I don't know. It's different, but I'll tell you what I took away last night. Slick, I'm gonna sound like a real white guy right here. Did you watch that hockey game last night? You sure, bro?
I did glance at the Lightning play. Like maybe last week I glanced at the Lightning and is it the
Maple Leafs?
Maple Leafs. That's who the Lightning playing right now.
Yeah, so the Lightning beat down on the Maple Leafs. But let me tell you something. Here's a little deep dive for you. Drew, I'm actually an Avalanche fan. So I follow the Avalanche all the time, all the way back when
Joe Sakic,
Sakic, Peter Forsberg, Patrick Waugh, when they were the Quebec Nordiques.
Yeah, I used to be a small Avalanche fan too.
Okay. So they won the Stanley Cup last year, and they opened up their first round of the playoffs against an expansion team called the Seattle Kraken. Okay. First game was last night. You got the defending Cup champions versus an expansion team. How do you guys think it went?
Probably awesome.
Like, do you think the Avalanche won, right? Like everything I just mentioned. Like,
I think I just saw that. Yeah. I think I just saw that score. I think the expansion team is up 1-0.
They did. And here's what's fun. Like, if you're looking for something to watch, Grubauer. I can't pronounce his first name, I don't think. But he was the goalie last year for the Colorado Avalanche, and they let him go in the offseason. He got picked up by the expansion team, Seattle Kraken, and the Avalanche picked up another goalie. It was almost like a Jimmy G situation, right? So Jimmy G, yes, he's good, but he can't do
let's work
X,
the
Y, and Z.
49ers in any way we possibly can, right? Even in the NHL. Even in the NHL, now, let's get the Niners in there.
Trying to get that situation, you know, what it is there. But then you got, so right now, Grubauer is a goalie for the Kraken, and then you got the Avalanche, his former team, who we just won the cup with, who just let him walk out the door. So, and that you're right, Slick, the Kraken beat him 3-1. So, a little interesting storyline there.
Isn't there a guy Phil something that plays for that Seattle team? Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken, yeah. Phil
McCracken.
Are you serious?
That's how, for real, that's his name, and like he's on that team.
Phil McCracken.
I gotta look this up.
It's a play on words. BP. Phil McCracken.
Oh, shut up! I was just.
Oh my god!
I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassing myself. Jesus Christ!
No, what a terrible name for a hockey team, but I don't know.
The Kraken.
That's just me personally. But they're like octopus or something like that.
Yeah,
some sea creature or something. Yeah. The Kraken.
Okay.
Are we still talking about what's happening? Because I had something that
go for it.
Did you have that? Did you get that video or no?
Oh, I got the video.
Oh yeah.
I was saving it for the end. Give me a second. Let me bring it on the show here.
Well, we'll segue into, because this is a little bit more of a topic for me than it is just what happened. So
Jesus, our producer. Come on, man. He said he wanted a second. Jesus. I'm sorry.
Right, Drew. I don't want it yet. I want to preface it though, because we all know what happened the last time we played a video before I gave the description of the video and you guys laughed me off the damn screen when I'm trying to have a serious moment with the guy from Fairleigh Dickinson talking about going fishing. All right. I don't need another moment like that where you guys
I just hope whoever it is on this video doesn't bust out crying. It throw me off.
This stood out to me, man, and this goes deeper than just the video. We're going to show a video from the University of Central Florida. All right. So University of Central Florida had their spring game this past weekend, and the starting, or I guess he's vying to be the starting quarterback. He's a transfer from Ole Miss. He's also a starter on the baseball team. Okay. And they had a home game. UCF had a home game. I'm sorry?
Plumlee,
yeah. John Reese Plumlee is his name. They had a home game the same day as the UCF spring game. So Plumlee plays in the baseball game. He goes 3 for 4 with like 2 doubles and then leaves the game in the 7th inning and gets like escorted by a golf cart over to the spring game, goes, gets changed, runs out there, warms up, and goes and throws 2+ touchdowns in the UCF spring game. And play the video, and then I'll talk about my point here. Play the video first.
He's like athlete.
We're rolling, boys. That's the way you want to end the day. You know what I mean? Take a little base knock and get over the football.
He was good at Ole Miss.
How quick this quick change is going to be.
Oh, he played at Ole Miss?
Yeah, he started at Ole Miss.
Let's do it.
And then Corral came in and took his spot. He didn't really fit Lane Kiffin's offense.
Let's do it, Kenny. Come on, Kenny. Oh, what did I eat? Come on, I can't remember. The pressure's getting to me. Go, buddy.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
Quick change. Should have been untying my shoes on the ride. What a rookie. Out there, second drive. Miss it.
Gotta get swagged out. Yes, sir. Can't go out there looking any kind of way.
No.
You look good. You feel good. You play good, right?
3rd and 5. 4th and Ox.
So
that's awesome.
I just think I am so freaking tired of hearing about the specialization of sports in society today, where kids from the age of as young as 11, 12, 13 years old are only playing one sport because they want to focus on that sport and go D1, or they want to, just specialize in one sport. If you are an athlete, man, and you're a baller, like you want to compete, and you're a competitor, you want to compete at the highest level. Whatever it is, whether you're playing freaking chess, whether you're playing baseball, whether you're playing football, whatever it is, if you're a baller, you're a baller and you just go out there and you want to compete in anything that you do. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the specialization, and I'm so against specializing in one sport because you don't want to risk something else. Dude, what happened to the 3 sport athletes out there that are competing year round?
Yeah.
And like you look at the stats from the draft. They said like they took the top 30 draft picks or the first round draft picks or whatever last year, and they said like something like 92% of them were multi-sport athletes in high school. I am so sick of hearing kids today saying, no, I'm not going to play this sport because I'm focusing on this sport. Dude, competition breeds success, man. And if you're a competitor, you're a competitor. Stop worrying about getting hurt, all right? And worry about going out there and competing. And that's going to, like I said, that's just going to carry over from season to season, right? You know, I want my guys to, for my football team, I want my guys to wrestle. I want my guys to play basketball. I want my guys to play baseball or lacrosse. Track, whatever it might be, dude, I encourage it. But I get so sick when I hear kids, and I get even sicker when I hear coaches not letting their kids participate, because that happens a lot.
It does.
Right? You get a coach, you get a basketball or a baseball coach who doesn't want their guys playing because they want them to be healthy for the season. Dude, let your guys play, man. Encourage it. Encourage the competition. And I just applaud this kid for dude, you want to go big time? This guy is big time, and he's playing 2 sports in college.
Division I college.
Doing?
Division I college at that, right?
So that was my whole thing with the with
like video, I'm curious what you got to say about this, because I know I mean, you were probably, I think you played basketball. You played a pro basketball game when we were over there in Germany, so I know how talented you are in multiple sports. But you run a program where high school athletes in the summertime are really focused on football. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on this.
So I agree with Drew 100%. Now, as far as like every state, I won't say that can apply, but Florida, it gets a little iffy. Probably like Texas, probably like Cali too, like states that are like really big and known for like football guys or athletes and just kicking them out. It gets a little tricky. The reason why I wish they would play more sports is versus just one and specializing is just like Drew said, it gives them that opportunity to compete, but it also works for the body. Because let's be real, when we were growing up in high school, how many, like, you didn't hear about as many people tearing ACLs and having all these freakish injuries. Like, I tore my Achilles tendon, or I tore my ACL, or my ankle, I dislocated my ankle. It's like doing what?
When they're doing normal stuff. Too.
Yeah,
like, that's
it's like doing normal stuff. And I feel like a lot of that stuff comes from, like Drew said, that kid specializing on that one sport, and every day you're just pounding. Yeah. And you're just working out those specific muscles for that sport.
Right. I was gonna say it's muscle memory, Rick.
Yeah, you're in the joints, like you're not working all different type of muscles. Like football, yeah, some muscles that you'll use in basketball, but it's going to be different muscles. Track, same thing. Baseball, same thing. Lacrosse, whatever. So I agree with that 100%. But for some kids, like I said, I'm just speaking for the state of Florida. Some kids that are like 4 or 5 stars. Some of them they do so they're all the way up from youth league all the way up to maybe like their sophomore year. They'll do more than one sport. Once stuff starts getting like serious and business part starts kicking in, like their last 2 years, they might just chill and just focus on that basketball or football or track or baseball, just for the simple fact of like business is more involved and they have a more opportunity to go to a Power 5 and they don't want to mess.
Well, so now the NIL is involved.
Right?
That's part of
that part
decision making.
Understand,
and I agree with you.
I agree
with you there, Rick. But the difference, and I'm not going to sit here and say New Jersey doesn't have the same, caliber of talent, because they do. It might not be as many Power 5 guys, but they still have Power 5 guys. Me personally, I haven't coached a whole lot of Power 5 guys, so me talking from experience. If you're going to come to me and tell me that you're not going to play a sport because you're focusing on another sport, how many offers you got? None.
Oh, for sure.
Is anybody talking to you? No. Well, what are you doing?
I'm speaking. Like I said,
I know, and that's what I'm saying. That's the difference.
Because we
that's
have
the difference
spring
in what
ball.
we're saying.
Like we got
Right.
spring ball. So like
I'm totally fine with if your guys got offers.
That window where those guys really come in and pay attention to who's doing what. So like if I got a guy that's focusing on track and he's missing a practice or a Saturday morning practice because he's at a track meet, it's like in that particular situation, it's like, dude, you're not going to be an Olympic sprinter. Like you're running track to get faster for football. This guy or these coaches called and said that they're coming to specifically see you.
Yeah.
What are we talking
about?
I'm
in the mindset. I'm different though, because I'm in the mindset, like if you're on the team, if you're on a spring team, dude, you're committed to that. You don't have any football obligations to me, but it's different. If my guys like tonight, like with my school that I coach at, I do weight room Monday after school, Thursday after school, and Wednesday nights. I do weight room Wednesday nights because I want the spring guys there. I don't expect them there Monday or Thursday. But to your point earlier, dude, if a kid came to me and said, I'm not playing football because I'm focusing on basketball, and I said, okay, well, where are you going? And he's got offers from Kentucky, Villanova, schools like that. I'm like, dude, it's a no-brainer. Okay, I get it. But when you're focusing on basketball and you're not that good of a basketball player either.
Exactly. Yeah.
What are you doing? Like you just don't want to play because you're not a competitor.
Yeah.
I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this too, because we're talking like high school athletes right now, right? We're talking about high school athletes, Jesus, that are working on. I'm good. They're working on multiple different sports, right? So that's what you're saying, Drew. You're for that. Slick, you're like, I can see the difference. My question is, when does that line get drawn? Like, I got a little girl in soccer, right? She's 6 years old. Right now she's playing soccer 4 times a week. I encourage her to play other things. She just like loves soccer. And I'm sure that'll kind of evolve like as she gets older. My question is, when do you draw that line? Like when do you think these kids or parents or whatever it is, if should make that decision? Is it 8th grade? Is it 9th grade?
I'll tell you right now, because I'm dealing with
What do you think?
I got a 15-year-old daughter who's a freshman in high school. She plays a very, very competitive club soccer team outside of her high school season. She went out for the track team this spring. This soccer team is year-round. She practices 2-3 nights a week and plays every Saturday and or Sunday, if not both. She went out for the track team this year. I encouraged it. Go ahead, try track. You're still doing soccer, obviously. So she was going. She'd get out of school at 2:30, go to track practice, run 10 miles, whatever they do, crazy, go run another 10 miles at soccer, and come home and be absolutely exhausted and couldn't feel her legs. And she comes home and says, I'm not going to run track at a high level. I want to play soccer at a high level. I cannot physically do both of what I'm doing and continue to play soccer at a high level. So she walked away from the track team.
So she made
it wasn't good. She made that choice, and I understood that choice because I agreed with it.
Yeah,
you're doing too much. There's a certain point of burnout there, and she was burnt out. And you can't physically be at your peak when you're not at your peak.
Yeah. I mean, there was guys in my high school, and by no means were there players that were like going to the NBA, but there were some that were getting scholarships to like Idaho State, local colleges, but Big Sky, whatever it is, they'd get into the tournament, like if they were good enough. That made decisions. One guy, his name's Logan Kinghorn. He played his junior year of high school football and was a pretty damn good receiver. Like I want to say he was like 6'4", like pretty good size to him. He was a decent route runner, but he had for Idaho, you don't see those guys, right, that are doing that. He really stood out. His senior year, and we went to like state playoffs, all that stuff. Senior year, decided not to play football and went into basketball because of Idaho State. Now, I could say he probably could have had that same opportunity with football, maybe even like Boise State potentially. Back then they weren't as big. But that's a tough decision for a high school, athlete to make, to choose like one or the other. Obviously they love it, but like he was good at both. So that's the one that makes it tough, where like I guess it goes to the athlete himself and their love for it and whatnot. But I'm all about the experience. I'm like, man, you could have experienced something super cool playing football. Basketball's right after, you know what I mean? Like they're not really like going into each other except for off-season workouts, before the season practices or whatever. And then you could have had a hell of a season, playing high school, basketball. And I always thought about that. I was like, man, I don't know if I would do that because I played basketball, played not basketball, baseball, ran track, and obviously football. So from my standpoint, it was like in high school, like that never happens again, and you might never get to go play that sport in a live game again either. You know what I mean? So it's like goes to the experience of it. I don't know. It's a tough decision to just go straight to, hey, this is what I'm doing. And this is coming from a guy, you guys know how much I love football and how much I went, hard at it. But I wanted to play other sports too. Like it was just fun. Like
these days, like in our era, it definitely was. You definitely could do that.
It's more nowadays, right?
These days I would say maybe like sophomore year at the latest junior year, where like a parent should like cut it off. If, like Drew just said, if you're a basketball player, you play football, basketball, whatever the case may be, but like basketball, you start getting like Power 5 offers your sophomore year. Like, what are we talking about? Or you start getting Power 5 offers your sophomore year in football, whatever sport you're playing. Is like, dude, what are we talking about at that point? Like now it's time to kind of like figure it out, and let's just kind of like focus and get with a trainer and do X, Y, and Z. Do the stuff that is going to put you on a different level. That's going to separate you from other guys.
Because you're already good. Yeah, you're already good, right?
Yeah,
but I agree.
Yeah, but all the way from like kid all the way up to middle school, even 9th and 10th grade, I say let kids just do what they do. Like, let them kind of figure it out, because you like as kids. I mean, as adults, even as kids, we never knew how our body was going to end up developing.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like you just don't know.
That's wild. Well, boys, we got to talk about the NFL. There's a big thing to happen. Jalen Hurts got paid big time, and it came out of nowhere. Like we've all been concerned about Lamar Jackson for weeks, and all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts, becomes is the highest paid player right now, right? I believe
highest paid player ever.
By the way. Yeah. So $190 million that's fully guaranteed, and he structured the contract in a way that
he's fully guaranteed 179 or something like that.
179.
I heard
179.
Wild. So 255 overall it could be. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the agent. Do you know about the agent?
I don't know too much about her. I kind of like because at first, when I heard that she was a African American woman, and that's what kind of like sparked me to make me like, what? Not that I have anything against a woman being an agent, but it's just like usually you don't really hear about a woman being an agent, number one, and a African American woman being an agent to be able to get him that type of money. So when I heard it, I was like, well, I need to like dial in a little bit to see what she's really whatever. But from like looking at her background, like she knows stuff. She's good at what she does.
Did you hear the story? How this played out with her and Jalen? Like,
nah.
She DM'd Hurts his senior year in Oklahoma, I guess, when he was done. She DM'd him, direct messaged him for those people who aren't social media savvy. She sent him a direct message, private message on Instagram, and said, "Hey, do you have an agent yet? If not, I'd love to talk to you." And that's how they strung up the conversation, and he wound up going with her. Now, I also don't know if you guys saw the meme going around it. Hurts is represented by an entire female staff. So all of his marketing director, his agent, his PR person, every person in his entourage that's of power is a female, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. Just me personally, I feel like when it comes to that type of stuff, I feel like women like pay more attention to a lot of details than men do. Now, as far as the business part, talking numbers, yeah, man can, you know what I'm saying, masculinity, he can step in, hey, what do you, but I feel like when it comes to that organization and being like real detail, I feel like women they are better at that stuff than we are.
Yeah, they are. And I think but my thing is with it all, like she's got a chip on her shoulder, man.
Yeah.
She's got something to prove, and not to nobody. You know, she don't have to prove nothing to nobody, but in the grand scheme of the world,
she's trailblazer. She's a trailblazer in what she's doing.
You know, she's a small fish in a big pond, and she's got that chip on her shoulder, and she just got Jalen Hurts out, like BP said, out of nowhere. Like that news came out of nowhere. Like they weren't even
nowhere.
I didn't even hear the Eagles talking about a contract extension. But yeah, he becomes the, not total money, but yearly the highest paid NFL player ever.
That's what's up.
The way that the Eagles structured it, it's not a huge cap hit until like 2027. It's like a $30 million cap hit, but for the first 3 years, it's
the cap's going up too. So they structured it in a way that they'll be able to handle that.
And they still got
player percentage of the cap.
They did it in a way they still got $14 million in open cap space this year still.
Yeah,
so they did a really good job with it. Somebody on TV I was watching, I forget who it was, but they said, dude, he was going to get paid anyway. Why not just get it done early and put it to bed and just go play ball? And that's what the Eagles did, and good for them, because they knew that he was their guy. And I always find it comical because when Sirianni first took over, he wasn't convinced that he was their guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about.
They were talking about trading and everything else.
Yeah, this time last year, we had a lot of questions about him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And now he's the highest paid player in NFL history. And
he just needed a one.
Okay, does he deserve it?
Absolutely. Guys? Yeah, I think he deserves it.
Do you think he's the top quarterback in the NFL?
Well, let me put it to you this way. I think he's the top quarterback for his team. For his team. But that can extend beyond just his team into how he ranks amongst the rest based on the team that he's on and how they utilize him, right? They utilize him in the run game, but they also let him sit back there and he's able to make plays from the pocket. And that is and we've seen him do it at a high level. And not only that, he stayed healthy, guys. Yeah. The guy that replaced him at Bama, Tua, is dealing with all sorts of health issues, which, by the way, he contemplated retirement this offseason before he was going to go back. So you think about that situation with Tua and how Jalen Hurts stepped in there with, let's remember when he got drafted, Carson Wentz was coming off a potentially MVP season if he doesn't tear his ACL because they go to the Super Bowl with
nobody knew why they drafted him.
Right.
Nobody could believe that they used a second round draft pick on a quarterback when we got Carson Wentz. I knew why they drafted him because I knew Carson Wentz was a bum.
But at the time, you remember it, right? Carson Wentz was considered the franchise guy because he got drafted at in the top 3.
He had just blew his ACL.
And they had just gone to the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. So everybody just on the outside looking in goes, well, Carson Wentz is your guy. He'll be healthy. They drafted Jalen as a backup.
Right.
Jalen worked his way in with obviously Carson Wentz not playing well, so Jalen got an opportunity. But then Jalen gets his opportunity, and what does he do with it? He absolutely improved year over year, and now going into the end of his. But
they never believed contract. Philadelphia.
They never
believed in him
until this year.
They never believed in him. It was always like, is this guy a fluke? Can he be the guy to take us to where we want to be?
Right.
And that's what.
Doug Peterson got fired.
It's a typical scumbag Philly fan, dude. Like, be happy with what you got. Like the Philadelphia Eagles fans hate Donovan McNabb. They hate Donovan McNabb.
That I don't know why.
McNabb, is it because of the last? You think it's the last part of the Super Bowl when they said he was tired?
I don't know, BP, but you hate. They hate Andy Reid. Get rid of him. Andy Reid. Like, are you kidding me? Philly
After he took them to like 3
they're notorious for not realizing what they have when they have it.
Right.
You're gonna sit there and bash on Donovan McNabb. He gave you the best friggin' run of your life as an Eagles fan.
Look at Doug Peterson too, right? Like Doug Peterson got ran out of town basically.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that was tied to the Carson Wentz thing. So who knows what happened behind closed doors with it? Maybe somebody saw Jalen Hurts coming up and said, "No, that's the guy," and he, really disagreed and thought Carson would be the guy. I can see why they got rid of him. But other than that, like,
I don't think
the only
Peterson
reason I can think of it.
Peterson was never Team Carson, ever.
So then, to me, I don't know why, because he was coming off he won the Super Bowl 2 years before, and then he got fired, right? Yeah. And then Sirianni comes in. Now, it's like, do you remember if Sirianni was on the staff with Philly, or was he brought in complete from the outside? Like, was he like a positions coach and got brought up from within? I can't remember where Sirianni came from.
No, I think before he came to Philly, I want to say he may have been like a quarterback coach or something with either the Chiefs or the Chargers.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know what? I think you're right. I
He
think it was
came from Indianapolis, didn't he?
He did?
Yeah, he was the offensive coordinator in Indianapolis.
Sirianni.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Sirianni? I didn't know Sirianni was an OC. I thought he was
I don't
always
know
like
if he
a
was
quarterback
the OC,
coach.
but he came from Indianapolis.
Oh, I didn't know
was the
that.
big
I
thing,
thought
'cause
he
he
had
came
came.
from-
I thought he
okay.
had came from the
Because
Chargers.
that's why he cried when they fired Frank Reich. Like, it was a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
and that's why they
I
beat
gotcha.
the Colts so bad.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
That
was a
refreshed
joke.
my memory. Absolutely. But that's, I mean, look at that whole situation, right? Like with Jalen Hurts and how he went through it, and kudos to him. Really, kudos on the players on
Now
Jalen
they need
Hurts
to pay
there.
my dog.
Yeah.
He ain't getting
Lamar
$51
Jackson.
million a year. I know that.
Well,
Hey.
the mark's set.
He doesn't have to be.
The market is set. He's about a $35 million a year guy, and what's he making this year? 33. He's right where he needs to be, man.
He doesn't have to be the highest paid quarterback. I just want them to pay him what he deserves.
They are. They're paying him this year what he deserves. Between $30 and $35 million a year.
I just wonder what.
Oh, so he did get a deal done?
No.
Oh,
his,
you
no,
said
no.
his franchise tag is $33 million.
Gotcha.
And I think that's right. I think he's right in that 33 to 36 million range, man.
Yeah,
Personally.
But I feel like it goes back
agree.
to what BP just said. I feel like based on the team, they should pay him more. Now, if he had a bunch of weapons and he was still underachieving, cool. He has not had weapons since he's been there, but he's been.
And they just brought in OBJ,
and OBJ is not New York Giants OBJ.
No,
just like Sammy Watkins was not.
No,
you feel me?
They're
like
paying him like he's New
just
York
like
Giants.
Crabtree when he
OBJ.
came in. Crabtree wasn't their same Crabtree.
Right.
So it's like they're giving them pieces. He's had pieces, but they keep giving them like washed up guys or guys that are like on their way down or on their way out. Like,
well, it's because they're giving him
talent.
18 to 20 carries a game. You know, like with I mean, honestly, that's what they're doing. But I agree with you. Like, I want to see him make those plays from the pocket because he has a guy and he hasn't.
But I feel like if they gave him some young talent that'll cut out
I
some
agree
of the rushes that he has, because it's like I'm confident with throwing the ball. Like
J.K. Dobbins was hurt, right?
Dobbins was hurt. Gus was hurt. On top of he had nobody throw the ball. Bateman tore his ACL.
Yeah, and all he had was Andrews, and Andrews isn't getting younger.
So
just saying that. All right, well, we got another one. This was a big one, and news came out on Monday. This is a guy that's been a staple with this particular organization for a while. Budda Baker. Budda Baker, first of all, and Twitter catches everything nowadays, guys. Like, you hear about like shit on Twitter, quick. Oh my God, Budda Baker removed Arizona, the Cardinals, from his profile. And then within 30 minutes after that, it gets broke that he requested a trade from Arizona. So kudos to Twitter. You always catch that stuff. But he wants out. What do you guys make of this?
You start us off, BP. What do you make of it?
I think it has a lot to do with we talked about Cliff Kingsbury, right? We talked about him all season long, how we end up the way that we thought that it was going to happen if they continue down that way, and they won 4 games, he gets fired. I get that. But there were some guys that were Cliff's guys, right? And I think Budda Baker was one of Cliff's guys. Like, just got along with the coach, agreed with the philosophy. He was obviously a captain. They kind of came up together in a way. I think Cliff drafted him. So now he has this other guy that comes in, and I don't know if it says he's not bought in right away, which it's really bad if one of your captains says you're not bought into the new coach, like right away, I request a trade. That speaks volumes. But to me, what is it? I know that he wants to be like paid one of the top safeties in the league, which quite honestly, I think he deserves. He's top.
Yeah, I don't see why he shouldn't
3,
get top money.
But Arizona, they're in a weird spot. Kyler Murray coming off an ACL. We don't know what happens to him. They fired their coach. JJ Watt retires. They've had pieces all off season. Everything screams rebuild. And now this guy, this D Hop wants out. Yeah, this isn't the only guy. So now you got Budda Baker, D Hop that both won out of Arizona. And I feel like they're on a cusp of a rebuild. Now, if you're Arizona, do you deal them or not?
You have to.
I mean,
I think you have to.
I feel like he's highest.
Yeah, I mean, he's at his high. You will get so much back for him right now. I think
it's not a strong safety class either. It's not a strong safety class. So.
I really think that there's a lot of value to be had if they trade him. And listen, if they are in a rebuild, take your draft picks, take it maybe a mid-level impact player, and go through your rebuild, man. This guy doesn't want to be here. I saw a clip, man, of the new head coach when he introduced himself to Budda Baker. I can't remember what it was, but it was so bad. Corny. And I think
the captain said, "What is going through his head when he's meeting the coach?" I think it was something.
Well, it was
like that.
Michael Scott. It was like Michael Scott as a football coach. It was like,
oh yeah,
he's bad. So out of touch with how to interact with his team. It was so weird. I got to bring up that clip. So I got to find that clip somewhere. But deal Budda. The ceiling's never going to be higher for him.
Right.
The ceiling's never going to be higher for him. What's up?
Budda and D-Hop, right? Like, so if you're dealing D-Hop, because it sounds like,
listen, if the guys don't want to be there, they're not going to help your team, man. And it's just going to be a problem in the locker room. You know, that's how it goes, man. If they're unhappy, they don't want to be there. Get the most out of it. Get the most what you can for them. Which
get
is
some draft
picks.
Try to replace them at a cheaper price, right?
Right.
What do you think, Slick?
Yeah, I think he deserves it. I mean,
he deserves to get paid. Absolutely,
that's what I'm saying. Budda Baker been balling since he's been in the league, and he's an undersized guy too, but he plays at a high level. Like you can't knock him.
He played through like a high ankle sprain. Like high ankle sprains keep guys out. We talked about it at length during the season. I can't remember who it happened to, but that's 6 to 8 weeks. Some guys are out half the season. Some guys go on IR. Some guys never come back.
And they use him in the box on him too.
Exactly. He
use him in the box too. Like, and again, he's undersized, but he plays ball. Like you got to. I mean, or you're gonna lose him. You're already about to lose D-Hop, and like you said, quarterback Murray, he's just coming back from an ACL, so you don't know what that situation is going to be like because, again, his strong point was scrambling, doing circles, and finding somebody down the field.
And finding D-Hop. Yep. Like, for real. He would go after – that was his guy, and he was successful when he would go to him. So now he wants out – if you're sitting there with Kyler, man, not only do I have this ACL I'm trying to come back from, but all my guys are leaving too. It's wild.
Yeah, all he has is a
I don't know how many guys he has.
AJ Green.
I don't know how many guys he has because I feel like he's kind of lost the locker room a little bit.
I think and players like this, if they don't believe in your leader, you wouldn't. If this was Patrick Mahomes, right? Okay, I'm going to spin it this way, but if this was Patrick Mahomes, this was Kansas City, do you think these guys would be saying this stuff if it was going through a similar transition? Number one, they wouldn't because it was Patrick Mahomes, but no, they wouldn't. They don't believe in their guy. They want out. They know what's about to happen. They know Arizona is going to be in a serious rebuild for a lot of time. This one kind of came under the radar. We'll talk about it just for a couple minutes. But Allen Robinson traded to the Steelers, which the Rams have been really, I don't want to say fire sale, but they've lost a lot of guys. They've lost a lot of guys this offseason. Now they trade Allen Robinson to the Steelers. Do you think ever since he got traded from the Bears, is everybody's expected Allen Robinson to be this guy, like the guy that he was with Jacksonville, right? Now all of a sudden he's just kind of getting passed along from team to team to team, and now he's going to Kenny Pickett. Like, what do you think is this going to amount to anything ultimately with the Steelers?
Me personally, if the quarterback position can get under wraps for the Steelers, I think Robinson can possibly have a good season, just because they have Pickens. Pickens is basically their number one.
And they needed a big guy after Claypool left.
The reason why I feel like Robinson fell off since he was with the Jags is because he was a number 2, but everybody else tried to make him a number 1. He's not a number 1. The reason why he got off that year with the Jags is because you had Hurns. Both of them went off for 1,000, but Hurns was the number 1 receiver that year.
Yeah, you're right.
And you had Robinson in the backfield that was surprising everybody as well.
I think it's because of his size. Everybody wants him to be like the next T.O. You know, he's a big dude. And he's
not fast enough to be the next T.O.
Dude, I'm just like, I'm kind of meh on this trade in general because he's been so up and down. All right. He's going into his 10th or 11th year in the league.
Yeah.
He'll be 30 years old by the time week 1 rolls around. Rick, I don't know about you.
He been in there that long?
Yeah. I don't know about you, Rick, but were you moving it the same at 30 that you were at 21? I could probably say that I know I wasn't.
No, but I didn't lose that much of a step.
Yeah. I'm just.
I mean, I went from
in the NFL,
a 4.3 to like a 4.4.
Right. But in the NFL, a half a step is all the time in the world. So I just, it's too up and down for me. And he's not getting any younger. He's going to, like I said, he'll be 30 by week 1. I don't know. I mean, good for the Steelers. Kind of giving Pickett another option alongside George, but.
And from what I understand, the Rams kind of got fleeced on this too, by the way, because it was a 7th round pick, but Allen Robinson was due $15 million. So there was $10 million that the Steelers potentially would have had to take on. Well, they said, no, we'll split that one too. So then the freaking Rams are paying $10 million of this guy's salary to go play for the Steelers for $5 million. So 7th round pick, and basically they're taking on 67% of the contract in addition. Like, wow. Like,
you ever seen the movie Moneyball?
Bargain. That's
you ever seen the movie Moneyball?
Yep.
Billy Bean's talking to David Justice. He says, the Yankees are paying you $5 million to play against them. That's exactly what's happening here.
Yep. It's exactly
he's getting paid to play against them.
I think he'll be okay. I won't, not to the point where he'll be like top 5, top 10 receiver, but I think he'll, like I say, it really depends on Pickett, how Pickett plays this year as a quarterback.
Well, that's my thing. Like, we don't know a lot about him, and for Allen Robinson, like, I don't know if he had a say in this or not, but I wouldn't be pumped. I wouldn't be pumped. I mean, maybe with Pickens, I think that's maybe a thing, and Allen Robinson can go actually to his. Out.
But again, it goes back to the quarterback play.
Yeah.
If he still had Big Ben, not a like a last year or two Big Ben, like a Big Ben that was still productive.
35-year-old Big Ben.
Yeah, still productive with Pickens as number 1 and Robinson is your number 2. I feel like Robinson was still he would be relevant this year. But
you think about the situation you just came from the Rams, Cooper Kupp and OBJ.
Yeah, he was lost in the shuffle. He had too many. He was lost in the shuffle.
But that's what I'm saying.
He still had Higbee tight end. He was lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, it's why I don't expect a lot from him. With the Steelers, I think quarterback situation. So Steelers got a bargain because they're not paying for what they could be paying. Do the
Steelers still have Johnson?
Deontay,
I think so.
If they still have Johnson, if they still have Johnson, then forget everything I just said, because that will make him the number 3 receiver.
That's funny. I think they do. I didn't hear anything different.
Yeah, he's still with the Steelers.
Oh, well, yeah, he'll just be a nice little guy that comes in and help out here and there then.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
They're going to make sure Johnson gets his touches, and they're going to make sure
Pickens veteran who can help groom the young guy.
Right. You've been around the block. All right, 2023 draft class. We're going to talk about DBs here in a second. But listen, we got a contest for you, and you got to get in your picks next week. Okay, get them to us by draft night. What's in it for you? What's in it for you is $150. $150 to join our mock draft challenge. Now, it's not all 7 rounds. It is literally the first round. Okay. So the way that it works, the way the scoring works, $150 to the winner. Way it works is you have picks 1 through 32. There's a million things that happen on draft night. I don't expect you to try to pick a trade or whatever. So this is all that it is. It's a player at the pick number. Okay, player at the pick number. So let's say that CJ Stroud goes number 1 overall, and you chose that. You get 1 point. It doesn't matter the team. Okay, the team doesn't matter. It's the player at that number. So the way that it works is the first pick. Would you guys say is kind of easy to pick? Like by the time the draft comes around, would you say that you have a pretty good idea who that draft pick is? This year, probably not, but in the years past, right? So first pick equals 1 point. As they go down, each number is at a greater value. So 2 is 2 points all the way down through 32. Okay. So that's the way it works. And then whoever has a high score wins the $150. So check it out, guys. You know what that means for us? It means we got to have our picks next Wednesday. We're doing our mock draft next Wednesday. So make sure you tune in and see who we think is going to go where. Next Wednesday.
It's so fast.
It's here.
Came up
It
on
did
us.
creep up, didn't it, Drew?
Came up on us.
It did.
It creeped up.
It
Rick,
did.
it means we got to study, man.
I know, right? I know.
We ain't had to study last week.
Get those in. Yeah, didn't have to study last week.
That means
so get those in. Make sure that you guys get them in. We'll be talking about who goes where next week. So and then get those. Oh, where can you? By the way, that's probably huge. The Backyard Blitz at outlook.com is our email address. There's a really great site, pff.com, has a mock draft simulator that'll help you out. Takes a screenshot at the end. That's all you need. Just send it in and let us know, where we need to send your $150 if you win it.
So
and
they just go to they just go to that website and then fill in the mock draft and send it over to you.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the easiest. If you're like, we consider us football guys, but I'm going to tell you what, right now, this draft, I have no idea who's going to go where. It's going to be pretty wild. So
sounds like
that gives you as much of
$150.
Exactly. Gives you as much of a chance as it gives any one of us. So there you go. But that's probably your best one because it has all the players that are projected in certain spots, what the team needs are, etc. So it gives you a little hints, but I mean, you still get to click the players in there. It's pretty easy. So I'd recommend it, but you can send it however which way you want. So let's talk about the DBs, guys. Usually we hear about a lot of top DBs going into the NFL draft, because there's usually a few standouts. Haven't heard that so much this year. Haven't heard it so much this year. What do you guys think about this DB class?
I'll tell you what. I'm not impressed with a lot of the guys coming out. I think the one guy that stands out is that what's his name? The Witherspoon. I think he's like rated as the best defensive back coming out. Yeah, and then
from Illinois,
the guy from Alabama,
Branch.
Dude, other than that, Branch from Alabama, I like him. But other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot coming out. When's the last time we I don't know, man. I'm not good with stuff, but when's the last time a guy got drafted, the defensive back got drafted in the top 15 and came in and made an immediate impact?
It's I would say the last
anybody
one,
off the top of your head?
Patrick Surtain. I ruined what you were going for there, but Patrick Surtain, I would say, is the guy.
You're not Pat P, but okay. PS2. Yeah.
I would say that he, I would say that he did, but I think you're right. Look what just happened a couple weeks ago. Jeff Okudah, right? He was top 5 pick for the Detroit Lions. And he ended up getting traded for, I think, a third round pick in his third year. So it has been a little bit of a crapshoot, probably as close as it has been considered to the quarterback position. But I'll tell you a guy that I like a lot actually in this draft. And his father actually played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was a standout linebacker there. And that's Joey Porter Jr. He's considered the 4th best at his position right now. 18th on the big board out of Penn State. I like him a lot. He's really consistent. And not only that, I just feel like there's always something to when you have somebody in the family that played at a high level like that. Like his father was a Pro Bowl player for Pittsburgh, knows what it takes. He doesn't have to look very far to get advice on how to be a pro in the NFL. Right. So I think that's a quality I like as well, but I like this kid. I like Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State.
I like Joey Porter, so if he's anything like his dad, man, he's gonna be a big player.
I know.
Nah, man. Joey Porter can play ball. It's a couple that stood out to me. Like Drew said, Branch. I like Christian Gonzalez from Oregon too. Ringo from Georgia. Like he's been a starter since his freshman year.
And he's playing in some big football games.
Yeah, he's played some big football game. And Brent, I caught on to him probably maybe like late last year. He's a 6'3" corner at Kansas State, which is like, I mean, yes, you're seeing more of it, but like he moves pretty well. He's not like a stiff 6'3". I think he might be a sleeper.
I'll tell you what I do like is like you said, Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. What's unique to him, considered to the rest of these, dude, my dog's going crazy right now. What's different with him is that he's 6'2", 201 pounds. He's got a little bit more.
Is my daughter awake?
No, my dog here. But he's 6'2", 201 pounds. So he's a little bit taller than your corner that you normally see. What, at 5'10", 5'11", I don't know if he's more of a Richard Sherman type where he's got, those long arms, the guy that also played in the Pac-12. But I like Christian Gonzalez too. Don't let me open
like
this.
Ricky said that, you're seeing more corners that are 6'1", 6'2", 6'3".
No, that's what I said. You're seeing more of them now because the receivers are getting big. But I'm saying you don't usually see guys 6'2", 6'3" that move well. They usually have to be like in a zone system.
No, I agree.
To succeed, like you don't really see, like there aren't any. I haven't seen an Antonio Cromartie in a while.
Isn't there?
What do you say?
What'd you say, Drew? You broke up a little bit. I think we lost him for a minute.
Shot all night. I said, isn't Surtain pretty big or no?
Surtain's about 6'1.5". About
he's got some really long arms for sure.
But I'm like, he definitely moves well. Like he's legit. I'm gonna tell you who I think might be a sleeper.
Yes.
Hodges Tomlinson, LaDainian Tomlinson, his nephew, the corner at TCU, number 1. I think he's going to be a sleeper. He played ball this year. He's a little small versus like some of the other guys. But I think if he goes to the right team, I think he might like play. I think he might be like a Gardner Johnson, like a nickel type guy.
Well, and then you saw what he did at safety, like, the last year over in Philadelphia. So Gardner Johnson's done it all over the field.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like I think he might be like a Gardner Johnson. Only different, like TSU used him on the island. Gardner Johnson was going from safety to corner to nickel at Florida, so he was already getting molded for that position early before he got to the NFL. Mm-hmm. Tomlinson, he's only been on that island. Now, granted, I think he can adjust, but I think he's going to be a sleeper just because he's competitive. He might not be that big, but he's competitive. He's technically sound, and he makes plays. Like, you can't knock him.
What do you think about you watch every game that this guy's been in, but Tyreek Stevenson. So he's number 7 in the position rank, 45 on the big board, projected second rounder. What do you think about him?
I think if he goes to the right scheme. And the reason why I say that is because when he was at Georgia early before he came to Miami, he balled as a freshman and a sophomore in their scheme. He came to Miami his junior year, and the scheme that we ran didn't fit him, and he looked the average.
Okay.
So it really depends on the scheme. Like if you get him in the right scheme, I think he can.
What is his strength? More zone coverage or more like man-to-man, would you say?
More man. Because he's a physical DB. He's a physical DB. All that bail technique and that, like, that's what was killing him with us. Like, he wasn't really a bail guy. Same thing with DJ Ivy. Like, those guys aren't. They're you got to think they're from that Miami way. All they know is press. Man, I'm just running with you. You're not faster than me. Beat me. So when you get into more of a zone type scheme, now you have to read from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, this and that. You got to read hips. You got to be able to break down, get out of your break, come back. Like, everybody can't do both.
Yeah. Look at Drew.
He's froze.
He's locked in. Is he froze?
Am I froze? My internet's been shot all night.
Oh.
Thank God that I wasn't hosting tonight instead of last week.
Man. I know last week you were crystal clear. The only thing was my shoddy hotel internet, made me look like my shirt was almost off. Man.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right, boys. Well, make sure, I'm going to say it again, make sure that free shot at $150. Make sure that you send in your stuff the first round. It's all you need. It's not 200 and was there 64 picks? It's just 1 through 32 in the first round that takes place on Thursday night. I think it's on ESPN. Yeah, it's on ESPN. So make sure you get them to us. We'd love to see them, and we'll be unveiling ours next week. Guys, you know what time it is. It is time for our...
Oh, I know what time it is.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
I got to hear it. Let's go, Drew.
Oh, Drew, you go ahead.
Oh, I'm going first. Am I coming through clearly or no?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
You hear you for now.
My hot shot of the week goes to the new team that I'm coaching, Gateway. I had a kid come up to me. This is what all the comments are about as a coach, man. I had a kid come up to me in the weight room today. He got
Cliffhanger.
When I first started,
That's the worst feeling in the world. Should we just act like we heard him? Yeah. Yes. Hey, what's your slick? What's your hot shot of the week?
So, Drew, if you can hear me, I know I congratulated you when you first got the position, but I didn't give you a proper shout out. So my hot shot of the week goes to Drew for that head position job.
That's awesome, man. That is super cool. I know that's something that I want to do eventually. Yeah, he gone. Poor guy. My hot shot is to you guys last week. You know, it could have been easy just to say, hey, BP's out of town. We'll not go, 2 weeks without the show. You guys were adamant like, hey, we can miss one. We'll see what happens on the second one. When I said I wasn't sure if it was going to be a week or if it was going to be 2. I appreciate you guys. You guys absolutely crushed it. I rewatched the show back a ton of times. It was a lot of fun to see you guys do that. I don't want to say without me, but it was cool. You guys did a really great job without me last week, and I appreciate you guys because this shit is so fun. I was telling my wife tonight, I legit I love talking football, but we get to connect every single week. So it's been awesome. So cheers to you guys. You guys are my hot shot of the week.
Appreciate that. Summertime, we definitely have to plan a blitz trip at a neutral site, so we're hot, somewhat tropical.
Yep. Okay.
And
I'm
do
down.
a show together.
That would be awesome.
Like a summertime deal. Bring the families, wifeys, everything. Like, we got to do that, man, this summer.
We got to do it.
I know once the season start, me and Drew going to be too busy to do anything like that.
Ain't no way. And
you too, with your new position. And the way they moving you and flying you back and forth, we don't know where you might be.
Oh. Hey. Is he back? There he is.
No, I'm still not good. I still have one bar.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
My hot shot of the week went to you, Drew.
Yeah, you were the hot shot.
For what?
For you. I know I was late. So when you got the position to being the head coach, I gave you a congrats, but I didn't give you your proper flowers.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Can you guys hear me or no?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
We can hear you. And mine was to both of you with holding down the fort last week and just basically saying how cool it is just to be able to connect every week. And then Slick was saying we got to have a blitz vacation where we get everybody together this summer and we actually do a show where we're actually in the same place, which would be badass.
Somewhere hot
I
and
think
somewhere
the
tropical.
Prophet mentioned that a while back, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
We gotta make it happen.
Can you hear me so I can get my hot shot real quick or no?
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
My hot shot goes to the program I took over, Gateway. Dude, we were in the weight room tonight, and a kid comes up to me, and we were doing front squats. And he was like, Coach, he taps me on the chest. He's like, when we first started, I couldn't even do the bar. And now tonight, I got 20 pounds on the bar, and I'm doing front squats. So I'm making progress. So, man, that's what it's about when you're
that's what it's about.
Coaching,
Hell
man.
Yeah.
The excitement. He's like a 8th grader.
Yep, buying in.
Yep. He was
Committed,
so excited,
dedicated.
man. So it brought a smile to my face. I said, dude, you're doing a good job, man. Keep up. That's all it's about. So that's my hot shot of the week.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, guys, make sure you tune in next week. I'm going to say it again. Tune in next week. Our mock draft challenge. You're going to hear who we think is going where, and you can compare your answers to ours. But I can't wait. But until then, you guys, we'll see you then. Drew, fix that internet, man.